I seriously cannot tell what's a bigger topic for discussion online, the brand new Morimoto 4Banger pod lights or the Ford Bronco. Regardless, we have both of them in the studio today, and I'm going to show you why the brand new off-road pod lights from Morimoto are some of the best and brightest pod lights in the world. First things first, there's two pod lights that you need to be aware of. The entry level, which Morimoto calls the NCS pod, they use Nichia chips and it's super bright, has the same beam pattern as their higher end model, the HXB or HX Boost. They use an OSRAM chip. Those things are stupid bright. And if you get the beam pattern that is a white wide version, it is the brightest one that we have ever tested here at Headlight Revolution. Now the NCS and the HXB both come in three different beam patterns. They have the wide beam pattern, they have a combo beam pattern, and they have a spotlight beam pattern. All three beam patterns are great, however the one that decimates all is the wide version. 80% or more of our customers buy the white wide version, so that is definitely something to consider, especially if you're going to mount it in something like a fog light. Now if you want to see how these pod lights stack up against the rest of the competitors out there, Chris Nelson does an in-depth review where he compares these against Style Dynamics, Rigid Industries, and so on. So if you want to see how he came to the conclusion of these being the best, be sure to watch that video. Now all of these pod lights and all the driving beam patterns come with either an amber version or a white version. So the higher end OSRAM chips that are used in the HXB 4Bangers, those are a more yellow look. And when you use the NCS 4Bangers, they look a little bit more amber. That's because the NCS uses those Nichia chips. And Nichia chips, they do come in a yellow, whereas the OSRAM chips do not come in a yellow. One thing to note, in all of our testing, the amber versions always came in slightly less than the white versions. That's because the light passing through that yellow lens, it loses a little bit of its luminosity. Since the NCS chip, that entry-level 4Banger, uses a yellow chip passing through the yellow lens, it doesn't quite lose as much lumens. So that is something to consider. Now as far as street legalities go, that NCS chip, if you do mount it at a -3° aim, it does become compliant with the latest SAE F3 regulations. Unfortunately, the HXB is not street legal because it's so dang bright. And it's up to you to decide what's more important for your build. Now, what about the reliability? With all of the testing that we have done so far, we have not had any issues. They have an IP69K rating, which means they're totally waterproof. Also, they have a limited lifetime warranty, so they've got to be pretty good. As far as dimming down goes, when you guys are driving at over 4.5 miles an hour, you actually don't lose as much loss of light as you will see in some of our testing or in our other videos. So be sure to note that they don't actually lose but 8% of the brightness when you're driving over 4.5 miles per hour. The last thing to note about these 4Bangers real quick is that they have about a 30% smaller footprint than that of all of the competitors out there. So if you're mounting them in, say, one of the custom brackets on the front bumper in any of your vehicles, they're gonna fit so much better, like an OEM Plus look. So enough talking, let's let Morimoto show you how to install them on those accessory-ready mounting points.
So first up, we're gonna take these two bolts out that are up here. There's two on this side and two on that side. All it is a little T30. So before we install the 4Banger pod lights, we're actually going to run and install the harness. So what comes with the Morimoto wiring harness is a relay. You're gonna be installing this vertically. Stay tuned for how we install that. It also has two different plugins. This is for light 1 and light 2. You have your ground, of course, and also your positive. And lastly, we actually have a Morimoto switch for these. Now, I know a lot of new vehicles have upfitter switches, such as the 2021 Bronco. So we actually created a pigtail for vehicle specific. So you'll basically unplug the Morimoto switch and plug in your pigtail and wire this into your system. If you're mounting these pods somewhere different, say on the back part of the truck or in a different part of the cab, we have full extension kits for these two as well to make it very convenient for you. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start on the passenger side. So we're gonna take the light number 2 on the Morimoto harness. Unfortunately, it's not long enough, but in the kit, we actually include the extension harness. So what we're gonna do is we're going to put the plug side and we're gonna run it up through the bottom of the middle trim. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and take the antenna off. Use a little wedge tool so we can actually lift this little plastic trim up somewhat. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and route this through. A little cool thing you can do, instead of trying to literally probe it up and through there, you can just run it along the side and then tuck the harness around the area. So now that we got it routed, we're just gonna leave this right here and we're gonna go ahead and head over to the driver's side and get that harness situated. All right, now with the extension harness connected, we're going to route this up and over the engine bay, and we're gonna get this all zip tied and cleaned up nicely. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and get light number 1 routed. You're gonna be doing the same exact thing like we did on the passenger side. Take a wedge tool, we're gonna get this up and out, and then we're just gonna route this bad boy up and under, just like so. All right, now that's there, we're gonna go ahead and mount the relay. So we're gonna take the Morimoto relay and make sure that this is installed vertically. There's multiple different options. You can do self-tappers, you can do zip ties, whatever your preference is. So we're gonna put this bad boy in here, and we had already pre-made self-tap holes, so we're gonna do the self-tapping system way. Now we're gonna be connecting the upfitter switch. This is where I showed you earlier where we took off the Morimoto switch harness and replaced it with this one. All right, so we're gonna be connecting it to this brown wire. This actually connects to auxiliary 4 for this Bronco, but refer to your manual so you can figure out which one you want to connect it to as well. So we're going to go ahead and strip this brown wire. So we're gonna take this butt connector and slide it over this brown wire. And once it's in there, we're gonna crimp that bad boy down. And once that's crimped, you're gonna take the Morimoto side of the harness and slide that into there as well. All right, now that we got that connected, there's only 2 more connectors that you're gonna need, the positive and the ground. Very simple. What we're gonna do is take the positive, lift up your little battery terminal right here, and it is a 10. So we're gonna take that thing off. All right, and then just tighten that back down. And now we're gonna take the ground, and it's not long enough, so what we're gonna do, there's ground options up here at the top, which is a 8mm. So we're gonna go ahead and remove that bolt, just like so. And then we're gonna take the ground, and then just tighten that back down. All right, now that your Morimoto wiring harness is fully installed, we're gonna go ahead and head over to the 4Banger pods and get those up and mounted in the bracketry, and then we'll come back and clean up the wiring harness at the very end. All right, now that we're on the driver's side, we're gonna go ahead and take the 4Bangers and get them plugged in. Pretty easy like that. Now that it's connected, you have a lot of wiring here, so you're literally just gonna push it through right there, and we're gonna let the 4Banger sit just in case if we do need some excess for when we put it in the bracket. So make sure that the C on the bracket is forward. It's pretty simple. You're just gonna lay it right here. You're gonna take your bolt and washer. The washer will be going up on top. Just gonna tighten it down. And with our bolt, we're using a T30. All right, now that we got the bolt and washer in, we're just going to tighten it down, just like so. And you're ready to put your 4Banger on. So you're just gonna take the screws that it came with, and we're just going to tighten those on the side, just like so. All right, just make sure you get those tightened down, and of course you can adjust it to whatever angle that you want to as well. So now that we got the driver all done, you're gonna be doing the exact same thing to the passenger side, and then you'll be rocking and rolling. And then like I said, we'll just go ahead and tighten up the wiring harness and make it nice and clean.
See guys, it's super easy to install these on your Ford Broncos. They have those upfitter switches, which makes this a breeze. You don't have to pass anything through the firewall, which is a huge relief. If you want to see what else we have for your Ford Bronco, type in your year, make, and model at headlightrevolution.com, and we'll show you everything we have. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.